Hey guys, Daniel here. I wanted to do a quick video on how we manage our phone calls and our phone call tracking. It's something that I've had a lot of conversations with people about, and they've been very curious into how the system works. And just this past week on Facebook, someone asked about it, and they asked me to do a video, and I thought I'd do it because it's been something that I've wanted to do anyway. So this basically just covers how we are tracking and passing on our phone calls and sort of the tools that we are using to do that. Um, so I'll give you the main focus around it. Essentially, when a phone call comes in, we like to obviously track that into one sort of central place so that we can obviously look at the data in terms of how many phone calls certain numbers are getting from which brands, what areas, any of that sort of information. And that can obviously be tracked on a partner basis as well. So what phone numbers are assigned to what clients, and are they answering calls? Are they missing their calls? And obviously through this, you can at least get some feedback in terms of how phone call tracking overall is going. You can also with this set out the notifications. So email notifications, SMS notifications, WhatsApp notifications, whatever you want. We use Integromat to do a lot of that sort of thing. And then obviously from there, we've got other things that we use like Data Studio. Jensen is what we actually use for sort of forwarding the calls to where they need to go. But this is mainly just going to look at the actual tracking and the notification system, which is specifically what a lot of people have been curious about. If you guys have questions about sort of how we use Jensen, how we use Data Studio, anything like that, please just pop it in the comments or send me a message, and we can make an in-depth video about that. So, okay, how the Integromat system works with Twilio. Integromat is like a alternative to Zapier. It's just significantly cheaper to do a lot of the things that we need to do. We had all of our stuff in Zapier previously. A lot of it we moved over to Integromat. The great thing about Twilio and SignalWire, so if you guys are looking for options to have your phone numbers in, I would recommend those two, purely because of this process that we have. So both Twilio and SignalWire in the phone number integration can accept webhooks. So that's exactly how this thing works. The nice thing about a webhook is that it's an instant fire. It's not checking, especially with Integromat, it's not checking those phone calls every 5 minutes or hours. As soon as that call is done and the status of that phone number changes, obviously from sort of static to answered or completed or anything like that, it fires off the webhook and it obviously creates the flow that we needed to do. This is not really going to explain how to create the setup in Integromat. If you guys want a how-to video, again, just please pop me a message. This is just going to highlight the concept of exactly why we're doing this. So basically what you do is you just create your webhook and just paste it into your phone number. And like I said, whenever the call status changes, it'll fire off the webhook. So here's what Integromat allows you to do. Obviously in here, you can track things into a Google Sheet. We used to do this on a per partner basis. So each partner would have their own Google Sheet. As you start to scale, 70, 80, 100 clients, that becomes a bit difficult to do. So actually what we've done is we have created a master sheet where all of our phone calls go into one central place. And from there, we pull that data into something like Data Studio. So for example, Data Studio, we've created something where we can see sort of per brand, how many leads it's got, and specifically how many calls that brand has generated. There's obviously a lot more in-depth data you can do from there, but the fact that everything goes into a Google Sheet makes it really easy to be able to export that data in whatever format you want. So all the Google Sheet does is actually track to say, okay, this phone number was called, it came from this person, from whatever phone number. This was the call status and call duration to give you some idea. Like I said, are your partners answering calls or are they just missing calls entirely, which is obviously not ideal. I'd recommend you guys link to something like Jensen, which you can record the calls in. That normally allows you to go and actually see how conversations are going. And from there, if your partner's telling you one thing, you can at least go listen to the call recordings and get some good feedback for yourself. But obviously from within here, my webhook's not actually connected properly. I haven't called this number to sort of fire in the data from the webhook. But within here, you can obviously say what number was called. So if you've got multiple numbers on a website or you have multiple numbers sort of per partner, whatever it might be, you can have this say what number was actually called. So you can see what numbers are getting most phone calls. So if you had, one number on your Facebook ads, one number on your Google ads, one number on your website, maybe one number on the GMB, you could use your Google Sheet to actually see within your Google Sheet, and like I say, within your Data Studio setup, exactly how many phone calls each number is getting, to let you know maybe where your traffic source is coming from the most, and maybe even where you're getting spammed. If you're getting a lot of spam calls to a specific number, this can at least help you identify exactly where that number might be, and you can sort of maybe just either disconnect that number or route those calls somewhere else. So that is essentially what the Google Sheet does. What we then do is we obviously send out an email notification to our partner as well, so to the company that we work with. And this is just to let them know, like, hey, you received a call from this number. This mainly also so they know the call's generated through our brand. So whatever the client's name is, you received a call from that number. Here's a summary of your call. This is also useful if people have missed the call and for whatever reason it doesn't show up correctly for them on their call log or anything like that. At least they can use this email to actually very quickly have a look at that. Obviously, within here, you can do a few different things as well, which we have for some clients. So you can send out, obviously, you can connect to Twilio within here, and then you can also send out text messages as well. So you could, for example, send out a text message to your partner only. You can send out a text message to the person who called even. So you can send them a text message after the phone call to say like, hey, thanks for giving us a call. Maybe, your call was routed to whatever agent name it is. They will be in touch with you. And then obviously if your clients are using WhatsApp, you can also connect WhatsApp to this. So you can send them a WhatsApp after every single phone call notification. That's one of the other big things that we do. So this was just a simple sample setup that I wanted to show. I can actually give you guys a quick look at our main call tracking scenario that we have set up. So this is our project that we're currently busy on now. It's about 80% of the way through. We have some final details to wrap up. But this is where all of our Twilio calls are sort of running through. So you can see here the module setups that we have. So some of them we're obviously running WhatsApp notifications. Some of them we're running Twilio SMS notifications. This is just to the partner. Like I say, you could always clone this module and also send a thank you text to whoever called you in the first place. And this just allows us to very easily track and see, who these notifications need to go to. So I can come and see here, okay, that's the brand, that's the area, and I can sort of distribute, the notifications according to whatever partner they've gone to. So look, our setups always seem, I think, a bit complicated. It's sometimes a bit difficult for us to explain because we've had these setups for so long and we've sort of integrated on them and sort of dove deeper into what actually matters about these integrations. But I think this is a fantastic way to distribute notifications for any of your phone calls. Like I say, text and SMS email, WhatsApp, text and email notifications, this works fantastic for. I also think it's great to use this for actual tracking as well. So you can see what phone calls are generating, what leads. And like I say, connecting them to Data Studio means that you've got one central place that you can just come look at everything in one go. You don't, our pain was always logging into Twilio to check calls and log into Jensen for this and log into some email tracking for that. I think that linking a Google Sheet to Data Studio is a fantastic thing to do, regardless of what data that you want to pull out. So I hope this video helps just give you some sort of indication in terms of how you can send your notifications out. As with every video we do, I'm not going to say this is the right way to do it or the best way that this can be done. I'm sure that other people are running, we're only running 1,000 phone calls a month. I'm sure other people might be doing way more. But this has worked for us over the past, 4 or 5 years. Like I say, we have sort of integrated in it, moved here from Zapier, sort of found out what worked and didn't work for us in terms of phone call tracking and the phone call forwarding. But I think that if you have your Twilio set up, connected to Jensen. Jensen is great for using the call forwarding options in there, blocking robocalls, recording calls, things like that. Then from here, put your webhook in, pull your data into Integromat. And from here, you've got a lot of options in terms of what you do with that data. So again, if you guys have any questions, please, pop a comment through, send me a message, and I'm happy to answer any questions that there are.